and I'll be your host this morning. In the news today, we'll have bring up to cricket action as both the Black Caps and the White Ferns were both in action yesterday. Also, we have India versus England in the third ODI over there. We'll bring you up to speed with how the NRL third round finished, as well as some news of coaching news from the Super Rugby. We've got results from the NBA, the NBL, the A-League as well. We've got to catch up on those golf tournaments in the PGA and the LPGA. We had a fighter involved in UFC 260, and we'll also bring you up to speed with the snow sports, as it was the final final slope style of the season. This is your best way to start the day up to speed with all of the important sports news. Hope you have a fantastic start to your week. And let's kick off with that skiing and snowboarding action. As I say, it was the last slopestyle World Cup of the season, and we'll start off with the skiing. And we had Finn Bilos in the men's event. He finished seventh in the finals there. Unfortunately, his second run, he knew he needed to have a clean run, but he didn't. He made a mistake on the way down and knew that it wouldn't be enough in what was a stacked field over there. Over on the women's side, and Margot Hackett finished in 8th place, which was her best result in the World Cup, and also in the slopestyle World Cup slopestyle. So obviously she would have liked to have got a clean run, she said, but was super happy to be there and to be able to compete this year in that one. That was followed up by the snowboarders, where in the women's event, Cool Wakushima finished in 7th place of this one, and again, not being able to land the runs that she wanted, but looking forward to the break and then getting into it in the New Zealand winter to try to learn some new tricks is her plan of action before next season kicks off. Terrain Collins, he was going great, qualifying second for the 16-man final, but again struggled in the final itself and finished up 15th. So clearly knows he has got it if he can land the right run there, having qualified in second place. So a good finish to the season for our slopestyle skiers and snowboarders, and I say they'll be looking forward to getting down there in Wanaka and having some practice in the off season ahead of the learning and some new tricks and getting those runs sorted. Moving on then to the golf, and in the PGA, it is the Putakana Championships, and we're on into the fourth round now. It is live as we speak. Tim Wilkinson is in action over there, and currently is at 5 under par in tied 21st place, having a decent tournament for him. Darman tops the leaderboard at 12 under, so 7.7, just one shot clear, of Grillo. And then there's a chasing group after that. So, but Tim Wilkinson having a decent one ahead of the Masters that is coming up. Over in the LPGA, and Lydia Ko really struggled in the first couple, especially in the first round there. It's the fourth round is underway. She hasn't teed off yet, but she is 1 under par for the tournament at tied 29th in that one. Park leads the way at 12 under par 3. 5 shots clear of the chasing field. So she's looking in a comfortable position coming into the last round there. Over in the UFC and in the featherweight level, the Shane Young was in action against the Venezuela's Omar Morales in this one, and he lost to unanimous decision, with each judge voting 30-27 in Morales's favor. Morales now moves to 11-1 in the UFC. Shane Young now has lost his last 2 fights and has a 13-6 record, it's clearly not the result that he was looking for in that one. Sticking in the States and moving on to the NBA action now, and a number of key results yesterday from the 9 games. The Bucks lost to the Knicks. That's 2 on the bounce now. They lost 102-96 there. The Clippers beat the 76ers 122-112, and the Jazz beat the Grizzlies 126-110. The Pelicans were in action also against the Mavericks, Steven Adams' team, and they started really well, taking a 15-point lead in the first quarter. The Mavericks, though, managed to even things up by half-time, but the Pelicans came out in the second half, took a small lead, and then grew that in the fourth quarter to win 112-103. Zion Williamson led the way for the Pelicans with 38 points in that one. Steven Adams with 7 rebounds and 4 points. Not his most productive game. For the Mavericks, Tim Hardaway Jr. Came off the bench to score 30 points for them. And Boban Marjanovic got a double-double with 11 rebounds and 13 points there. What does that mean for the tables? Well, over in the Eastern Conference, the 76ers have had the gap closed slightly by the Nets, and then the Bucks are slipping back, and so with those 2 losses on the bounce. Over on the Western side, the Pelicans are down in 12th place after that win, with the Jazz leading the Suns and the Clippers, both the Jazz and the Clippers on 5-game winning streaks currently. Sticking with basketball and over in the NBL in Australia, it was the Kings versus the Kings versus the Wildcats. The Wildcats beat the Kings 89-65 to stay top of the table, and the Taipans beat the 36ers 79-65. Much needed for the Taipans at the bottom of the table there, and that's their 5th win of the season, closing the gap slightly on the Breakers, who are in 8th place currently. Sticking with the over in Australia, and yesterday we had 2 games. Adelaide United beat Sydney FC 1-0 in that one, putting Adelaide United up into 2nd place, and Wellington Phoenix took on Macarthur FC as well. I do have a report from Connor from the Knicks newsletter, who for that game.
Phoenix lose again. This time they lose in the red strip. First time they've lost in that strip. Lucky no more. Unfortunately, it wasn't to be on a night where we battled and we did a lot of things right, especially in the first half, but couldn't get a goal. And then the second half, it kind of stagnated until the introduction of Ben Wayne late on. MacArthur got their goal early on in the second half and then just sat back and defended and didn't let the Phoenix really get any shots away. In fact, they had no shots on target the entire second half. So disappointing. A couple of good crosses in from Wayne as well in that second half that really could have resulted in an equaliser if substitute Lokalingoi had his boots on, his shooting boots on, that is. Unfortunately, he couldn't put anything away. And Hemed, once again, he looked a bit disappointing. Ball gave his all at the front, lots of endeavour, but unfortunately he couldn't get anything as well. We definitely missed Piscopo, and his injury was massive for us, I think. Clayton Lewis couldn't do the job as well as Piscopo would have, and I think that his X factor is going to be needed, and hopefully he recovers from the injury as soon as possible. Big game coming up against Melbourne City next, and MacArthur go third. Phoenix still stuck in the bottom half of the table.
Thank you very much for Connor from the Knicks newsletter for that report from the Phoenix game. They are next in action. When is that? In week 15, when they take on Melbourne City FC, who are currently third in the table. So tough ask for the Wellington Phoenix a week today. Monday, the 5th of April is their next game. Moving on then to the rugby, and the Waratahs have parted ways with their head coach. Rob Penny has been sacked after losing all the games this season, also including record defeats to most of their rivals in Australia. He has been will be replaced by assistant coaches Jason Gilmore and Chris Whitaker. They will be interim coaches through to the end of the season, has been the news from the Waratahs. He had the kiss of death a couple of weeks ago, where he had said, he had the full confidence of the board. Clearly, that didn't last much longer. When you think that the Waratahs have lost over the last few years, have lost a starting 15 of international players and lost all their locks in the off season, you've got to say that the problem probably was not the coaching and is higher up the order there in Tarsland. But let's see if this improves things, or whether there are other issues going on at the Waratahs. Over in, I'm sure we will discuss this on the Driving More show on Tuesday evening at 8 p.m. So do join us for that show. Also, we'll have a look through the Wallabies squad for their first training session of the season. Over in the NRL and two games yesterday, the Knights lost to the Tigers 24-20, and the Cowboys got thumped by the Titans 44-8 in that one. Join the standoff show on Wednesday evening at 8 p.m, where they will go through all of the action from week 3 as well as preview week 4. In the table, though, we have two teams that remain unbeaten. The Panthers and the Eels top the table on 6 points. A whole host of teams crowding round after them, including the Warriors, on 4 points there. Only points difference separating third from ninth in that one. The Cowboys, Bulldogs and Sea Eagles still to get a win this season. In the cricket, and over in India, it was the third one-day international between India and England. India went into that first scoring 329. Top score for Rashid Pant, the wicketkeeper, on 78. Shikhar Dhawan with 67, and Hardik Pandya with 64, both contributing to that score. They were all bowled out with just over an over to spare. The wickets were spread around the bowlers, but Mark Wood took 3 to lead the bowling attack. England, in reply, reached 329 off their 50 overs, coming up short in that run chase. Sam Curran scored 95 and not out, but England lost too many wickets early on. Dewar Malan also scored 50 there, but a lot of starts, but nobody actually going on to make the scores in that top order there really was the problem. 4 wickets for Sharduk Thakur, and Kumar also took 3 wickets as well for the Indian bowling attack. Sam Curran then got player of the match for that 95 and not out, even though his side lost in this one. And So that's how that one finished. Player of the series ended up being Johnny Bairstow in that one as well. Over here in New Zealand, and first up, the Black Caps took on Bangladesh in the first T20. New Zealand went into bat first, and Devon Conway again was the man of the moment. 92 not out as he powered New Zealand to 210 off their 20 overs. Will Young also joined him on 53 in that one. In response, Bangladesh reached 144 off their 20 overs. Hossain with 45 and Shafruddin with 34 were the only two batsmen to really get a start and get any runs. Wickets were falling far too frequently. Ish Sodhi led the bowling with 4 wickets off his 4 overs. Lockie Ferguson also took a couple as well. So Devon Conway, unsurprisingly, player of the match, as New Zealand take a 1-0 lead in the series. It was a double header with New Zealand women taking on the Australian women as well. New Zealand went in to bat first, and Amy Strathwaite with 40 runs led the way for the women, as they posted a total of 130 off their 20 overs. For the Australian bowling, Jess Yahassan took 3 wickets there in that one. New Zealand had Australia really in trouble with at 3 for 14, but Ashley Gardner scored a 73 and not out to guide the women home with 2 overs to spare there in that one, as Australia won by 6 wickets in that one. So a good win by Australian women there with with 2 overs to spare. Actually Gardner, unsurprisingly, player of the match, just taking a 1-0 lead now in that 3-match series. You have now started the day the best way, up to all the important sports news. Have a fantastic day, folks, and I'll be back tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. with the morning sports briefing.